Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. In last year's prediction video, I used such a title, China in 2024, Slow Decay or Sudden Collapse. In the conclusion part, I mentioned while some believe China's crumbling without collapsing state will persist for many years, others think that a brutal fracture or an avalanche-like sudden collapse in such a massive system is always possible. A year has passed, and looking back at China in 2024, although crumbling without collapsing remains the main theme, a brutal fracture did not occur. However, soft fractures have undoubtedly taken place, and these soft fractures could very likely lead to the dramatic collapse of the vast communist machinery in the coming year. Reflecting on 2024, we witnessed unexpected changes in China's political landscape, an overall economic downturn, rapid deterioration of social order, and a tightening of the international situation. Politically, the unexpected change was the rumor in July about Xi Jinping suffering a stroke, which was later debunked. However, subtle yet possible significant changes might have already occurred in Chinese politics. Initially, these changes were only evident in subtle shifts in media reporting, but by the end of the year, more obvious signs emerged one after another, including the downfall of Miao Hua, a member of the Central Military Commission and director of the Political Work Department, who is seen as a close ally of Xi. The unusual circumstances surrounding his fall, along with articles in the PLA Daily and the Ministry of Defense explicitly calling for adherence to democratic centralism, and a widespread open letter demanding Xi's resignation, all indicate that Xi's once unshakable power has been significantly weakened and fragmented, especially his control over the military. Based on this, the outcome of the life or death internal power struggle currently concealed by the CCP might surface next year. If Xi Jinping indeed steps down, as the rumors suggest, the future direction of Chinese society will depend on the thoughts and actions of whoever or whatever faction replaces him. If such changes do not occur and Xi Jinping continues to govern while following the current path, there can only be two outcomes. Either he successfully transforms China into a larger version of North Korea, maintaining CCP rule through extreme suppression, or those within the CCP or the general populace, unable to bear it any longer, successfully rebel, overthrowing Xi's dynasty and possibly even end CCP rule. Economically, various indicators throughout 2024 have led nearly everyone to lose faith in recovery. China's economy has completely lost its growth points and momentum. Citizens are reluctant to consume. The government survives on debt, fines, and even seizing private enterprises' assets, with bad news constantly emerging, especially the trillion-scale local and central government debt. This has forced the central bank to start an unbacked money printing model since August. Economists calculated that given the scale of China's debt, this model can only be sustained until late 2026 or early 2027 before a complete collapse, at which point the credibility of the RMB might disintegrate, turning it into worthless paper. Unless there is a dramatic political change, China's economy in 2025 will certainly accelerate its decline with no possibility of improvement. In 2024, one of the most noticeable changes in Chinese society was the increase in various acts of revenge against society due to economic downturn and the loss of social justice. In some incidents, perpetrators drove into crowds, causing dozens of deaths in one go. Apart from indiscriminate attacks on innocent civilians, retaliatory attacks against officials at all levels have also increased. Workers seeking unpaid wages no longer resort to kneeling or threatening collective suicides, but instead choose to burn factories to vent their frustrations. All this suggests that the Communist Party's governance capacity in China is rapidly deteriorating, and the public's tolerance for judicial injustice and economic hardship has reached a critical point. Another significant change is international affairs. Although the CCP planned the so-called ignition strategy to create chaos globally and distract the US, the Russia-Ukraine war and conflicts in the Middle East did not unfold as hoped. It is anticipated that with Trump's inauguration, both the international situation and US-China relations will shift in a direction highly unfavorable to the CCP. The Russia-Ukraine war might end soon, and Trump could even improve relations with Russia, thus isolating China further. Although Trump hasn't fully articulated his strategy or thoughts on China, the predominantly hawkish figures in his proposed cabinet suggest a hard-line stance against the CCP. To fulfill his promise of making America great again and ushering in a golden age for the United States, Trump must firmly defend U.S. interests and positions. Consequently, methods the CCP previously used to develop, like technology theft or forced technology transfers, state subsidies, and dumping to capture foreign markets for trade surpluses, will face strong opposition. Goldman Sachs previously predicted that if Trump implements a 60% tariff on Chinese goods, this alone could reduce China's GDP by 2% points. This will be a blow the Chinese economy, already at negative growth, can hardly bear. As I stated in last year's prediction, China's crumbling without collapsing state has lasted for decades. Some say they wouldn't be surprised if it continues for several more decades. Yet, if it were to collapse tomorrow, they wouldn't find that unexpected either. However, much like the metaphor of a frog being boiled slowly, no matter how gradually the water temperature rises, it must eventually boil when it reaches the boiling point. Similarly, I believe that if every aspect of the current system under the CCP has reached its limits and is nearing the point of being unsustainable. Therefore, I wish to make a bold prediction. 2025 might be the year when the tipping point finally comes to China. The most likely event will be Xi Jinping stepping down. As for whether his departure will lead to the disintegration and total collapse of the CCP regime, I would say the likelihood of yes outweighs that of no. Well, that's all for today and for the year 2024. I'd like to take this opportunity to express my heartfelt thanks to everyone who has been watching my shows, following me on social media, subscribing to my website membership or X account, and offering generous donations. Your support has been invaluable, and I can't imagine how I could have preserved without it. I look forward to continue to provide quality content and services in the coming year. Wishing you all a very happy new year. Thank you. See you next year.